me for the YouTube subscribers. Also subscribe already. Hit the fucking like button and subscribe before I knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
We are back after a weekend off with UFC Vegas 34, of course, at the Apex. Cannonier versus Gastelum in the main event. I'll be going over the main card like usual, guys, breaking down the fights, providing some free picks and leans, what to avoid, what to look at, all that fun stuff. Another good week for myself 2 weeks ago, UFC 265. Gane versus Lewis was all over Gane there, and the finish. I just didn't see a path for the fight really going 5. Just because of Lewis. Lewis's cardio. I'd never seen him go 5 before. I did think Gane was going to pressure and try to finish the fight, and that's what he did. Did take a few rounds there, of course, but Gane found the finish and shows that, he could finish fights. He's not just a boring fighter that sits back and picks his spots. One of the smartest and best moving heavyweights I've ever seen, guys. I'm not exaggerating here. He moves like a light heavyweight, maybe even 185er. Very smart octagon IQ, one of the higher octagon IQs I've seen, and he just doesn't get hit. That's where that smart comes in play. He's very calculated, and when he does throw punches, it usually does land. Very good accuracy. Very excited to see Gane moving forward here and fight Ngannou. It's going to be very interesting. I think Ngannou right now will be the favored, slightly, like a minus 120. So there going to be some value, I think, with Gane. I might look that way as well. We know they sparred before. We know there's a little beef between the team, not him, not Gane and Ngannou, but the team, Ngannou and the French team out there. So that will be interesting. Looking forward to that. Like I mentioned, profitable card for my guys, clients, and myself. We did have a 2-fight parlay best bet. Don't have a ton of those, but I did have it. We had Rafael Fiziev and Munoz to win. Both of them won fairly easily. Also was on the Torres side. I really like Torres, which I gave out to you guys as well on the video. Only side that I didn't hit, and I did actually have it as a play as well for my clients, was Chiesa. I did think there was some value there with Chiesa at plus money. He looked good early. He got the takedown, which I expected. I expected him to get the takedown. He got that takedown, but he got caught. And we know Luque does have some sneaky submissions on the ground, and he got caught. So very impressive with Luque. Excited to see what's next for him. Title shot's not out of the question moving forward. Obviously we know the Usman and Kobe that's going to happen, but definitely excited to see what happens with Luque. Very entertaining guy. We know how entertaining his striking is, but if you put that submission game in there too, watch out. This guy, sky's the limit for Luque there. Let's go to the weekly update. Weekly update, guys. 50 and 28 best bets long term, guys. This is a long term. We're at around 20 months now, 21 months. So 50 and 28. All plays plus 35.8 units. All plays. Continuing to rape the books in the PGA, guys. PGA, we are having an outstanding season. We're now in the playoffs, but big week last week to end of the regular season. Regular season ended last week. We hit a Kisner outright plus 4,500 plus 4,500. And then big ticket winner also was Sabatini plus 350 T20. 1-0 in matchups, and also Henley plus 150 T20, which I gave out as a free play as well. Guys, 2 big outright winners in the last 2 months. English also. We had an English outright also plus 4,500, 4,500. So outright market. This is how the outright market works, guys, if you're not familiar with it. You're not going to win for a few months. Sometimes you're going to have lulls. You're not going to win for a month or two. But then when you hit the tickets, it's a long-term play. So if you're willing to, lose for a month or so and then hit that big ticket, you're going to profit. Well, personally, in my system, you're going to profit in the long term. Like I mentioned, 2 plus 45 outrights. We have 11 outrights since posting golf plays 17 months. So doing well there, plus 64.4 units in props, 69% best bets, and a nice matchup run as well. NFL, guys, NFL is around the corner. Very excited. You see my Baltimore helmet out. Videos will be coming shortly. Future videos will be coming out shortly. I sent a future best bet already out to my clients. Biggest future bet I've placed in a unit category so far. I sent it out to my guys already, expecting a big season in the NFL. I just joined the Circa contest, actually. Looking forward to that. Spreads and Survivor. Just joined that, so excited for that. Before we get into everything, let's hear a message from my friend Meredith.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Alright guys, also check out systemsportscapping.com for subscription opportunities, free picks, full records, videos there. Get on board. You want to get on board before the NFL season. NFL season is probably one of my better sports. NFL, UFC, PGA, MLB, low volume. And of course NHL, we know my NHL season is 65%. Let's get right into it, guys. Let's get right into the main card. Shop around. Shop around for the best price. This isn't the best price. This is a standard market price. So shop around, like I always say, have more than one book. Have multiple books so you can get the best number out there. Main event, Cannonier, minus 155, minus 150, shop around, and like I mentioned, the different numbers out there versus Kelvin Gastelum, plus 130, little value there on Kelvin. You know, I agree with the line. Let's start with the line here. I do agree, don't love the minus 155 on Cannonier, but I understand. The books are saying this is, you know, Cannonier should be fighting, you know, higher ranked guys. You know, Gastelum, I do think, is a solid win if Cannonier can get it, of course. Gastelum has fought everybody in this division. Has he fell off a little bit? Maybe. We'll have to see. But, you know, I get the price here. You know, both guys are coming off losses to the same guy, right? Both guys are coming off the loss to Robert Whittaker. If you go over those two fights, you know, Cannonier obviously got hurt. Hard to talk much about there, but I do think Robert Whittaker looked a lot better in that Gastelum fight. He picked him apart for 5 rounds, right? Cannonier has the ability to do the same. He has the ability to outstrike Gastelum. There's no question about that. We've seen it before. We know Cannonier does have the power as well. The question here in this fight, it's not going to be too much. Don't make it too much of a stressor. You know, don't think too much in this fight. It's going to be, is Gastelum going to be able to grapple? You know, make it ugly against the cage and get this to the ground and wrestle. You know, Gastelum has been fighting more on the feet. You know, if you look at his takedown average, just over 1. He doesn't look for it a ton. He did look good against Ian Heinisch with it. I do think he has to look at it here. I do think he has to look to get this fight to the ground. Remember, it is 5 rounds. It's a main event. He's not going to wrestle for 5 rounds. He's not going to be able to. We have seen Gastelum go 5 rounds, though, before. And he is able to do it. Cannonier, we have it. And I do think Cannonier could gas later in this fight. The later this fight goes, I do think it favors Gastelum. That's something to keep in mind here. If Gastelum's going to be able to mix down the takedowns, use his striking, you know, he doesn't have poor striking. He has a good right hand. He can catch you. He's able to strike. But I think Cannonier's a little slicker on the feet. He's able to use a reach. Remember, big reach in this one, guys. Around 7 inches for Cannonier. So that's going to play a factor. If you can stick and move, jab, get out, use some power, Cannonier can win this fight. You know, Gastelum never been knocked out. Cannonier's going to be looking for the KO. Could this be the time Gastelum gets knocked out? It is possible. But I do think Cannonier is going to be able to outstrike Gastelum. And if he can avoid the takedowns, he wins the fight. That's simple. That's how simple I think this is. I don't think Gastelum can outstrike Cannonier. I think Cannonier is going to be faster in there, has the more power. He's going to be the bigger guy. He's going to be the stronger guy. That's why I don't think Gastelum could keep him down if he gets him down. If he gets him down, tries to make it ugly, I think Cannonier can get away. I think Cannonier can get up. Things I'm worried about and why I can't go all in on Cannonier is a few things I mentioned. The 5 rounds. Gastelum has done it before. We have seen it. You know, Gastelum has fought the best. Sure, he's won 1 out of his last 5 fights, but they're against killers. Gastelum's fighting killers in there, right? So when he did get the downgraded opponent against Ian Heinisch, he won. Now, we can't compare Ian Heinisch to Cannonier. Cannonier's the better fighter, right? So it's not an easy fight to call. What I do love in this fight is the over 2.5 rounds. If you can get that at a good price, you can even put in a parlay piece. I do think this goes fairly deep in the fight. I don't see an early KO for Cannonier with that power, just because Gastelum hasn't been KO'd. He hasn't shown me that, so why would I steer that way? Gastelum hasn't shown me he's going to get knocked out. He's durable. We know he has a chin. We know he can go 5. That's why I don't love the price here at Cannonier. If I can get a better price, I may lean. I see it's going up on books. I see some minus 160s out there. Don't love that. You asked me a play, I'm going to lean Cannonier. I think he finds a way here. However, don't love betting against Gastelum, especially in this 5-rounder. I do think the 5-rounder helps Gastelum if he can get it further in the fight. So take a look at that 2.5. Cannonier something too. I don't love his ring IQ as well. He's fairly well-rounded, but if he can keep this on the feet, I do think he gets the win. Don't love the price. Best favorite play in this fight's over 2.5 rounds. Should be a good fight. Should be competitive. Excited to see what happens here. Winner of this fight, stay in that conversation for the title. I think Cannonier finds a way. But look at that over 2.5 rounds, guys. CoMain, fun one. Looks like it's a wrestling fight. It's going to be a wrestling battle, guys. If you don't like wrestling, probably don't tune in. But I suggest you tune in either way. Guida plus 145 versus Madsen minus 170. Interesting CoMain between two wrestlers. One being a vet, right? Tons of fights in Guida. I think he has the most, to be honest. And one being an undefeated Olympic wrestler. Only 2 wins in the UFC, but still undefeated as an MMA fighter, 10-0. Madsen, he is going to be the better wrestler here. That's not, I say it's a battle between 2 wrestlers, but it's 2 different level of wrestlers. Madsen's a silver medalist in the Olympics, okay? Guida is more of a pressure wrestler, in your face type guy, right? So Madsen's going to be able to get him to the ground. Is he going to be able to keep him there is the question, right? We know Guida is going to come moving forward. I lean Guida in the striking department. Both guys aren't great strikers, guys. Let's not get it twisted. Both guys aren't going to be able to, outstrike the other guy. I think, like I said, I lean Guida in the striking department, but there's not going to be no knockout or any threats in the striking department, in my opinion. If Madsen does get to the ground, could he find a submission? He could. Guida has been vulnerable to get a submission. He's been submitted a bunch of times. So I do think Madsen could pull off a submission, but I expect just more of a grinded out grappling, wrestling. Madsen getting this to the fight to the ground multiple times and trying to keep him there. It's going to be one of the better wrestlers he's fought. Definitely the best wrestler I think he's fought in his MMA career. Not the best wrestler, period, because we all know he's a silver medalist. But is he going to be able to keep up? He did do the change in camp. I do think that's good for him. He did have a year off, which sometimes could be good, sometimes it could be bad. I do think it benefits him here. I think he wins this fight, Madsen. Don't love the price at minus 170. Maybe look at the decision prop. Could be a late finish, like I said, with the submission. We know there's going to be no knockouts or anything like that. But Madsen to win this fight, I would lean the decision. This may make my betting card for my clients, guys, this weekend. So I do like Madsen. I think he has enough. He showed that toughness against Hubbard. Hubbard's not an easy fight for anybody, guys. But he can be taken down, Hubbard. So that's why he was able to win that fight. Hubbard was obviously the better striker there. He did hurt Madsen. Madsen did kind of gas out, which kind of worries me a little bit. But like I mentioned, that year off I think will help him in this case. And I just think Madsen wins a grinded out grapple wrestling type of fight. Close fight. Most likely will go decision. So look at the decision prop over 2.5 rounds and the decision prop. Next one, guys. You know how I feel about these mid-tier heavyweights. Just avoid it. Why bet it? Especially at this line. Like, if you're going to bet it, take the underdog. Like, Porter plus 160 versus Sherman minus 190. I do think Sherman finds a way. But am I going to lay minus 190 for 2 middle-tier heavyweights? No. Right? Bet smart, guys. Don't try to force these bets. With these guys that just aren't good and they're just middle tier guys that anything can happen, right? And we've seen the last time. Porter He found a way to win against Parisian, and he was an underdog from what I recall. So it just does not make sense for me to bet these type of fights. And if you look at Sherman, he lost his last time out versus Orlovsky. And he was looking better, Sherman, right? He looked good in the first round, but he ended up losing the fight. I do think if Sherman works the leg early on Porter, he can win this fight. But this is not a fight I'll be betting. If you're betting the dog and just, that I understand the plus 160, I don't think this line is correct. I do think the line is too big here. I would have Sherman more in the 140, 150 line. I do think he should be the favorite. I get it. He has looked improved. I won't be betting this fight. I lean Sherman. For you crazy guys out there that bet these big parlays that I don't suggest. But yeah, I lean Sherman. Won't be betting this fight. I suggest you don't either. Next fight here, guys. It's a last minute change. Short notice fight. Jones. Trevin Jones is back after a nice knockout. Minus 150 versus Kakoramanov. Plus 125. I butchered that name, but nothing new with these Eastern European Russian type fighters with me. Short notice. He's jumping in, guys. First fight in the UFC. I obviously had to do some research on the guy. I didn't know much about it, if any thing. He was fighting in Cage Fury, smaller other promotions. Don't know a ton of the guy. Seen some of his fights. It looks like he'd probably be the better grappler here in this fight. We all know Trevin Jones, right? Huge upset win over Mauro Batista. I like Batista in that fight. I had Batista in a small parlay, if I recall, 2-fight parlay. And he had a big upset win. He was a big dog in that fight. I think Batista was like minus 275, minus 300, if I recall. And Jones caught him. Caught him with some big shots. Nice TKO finish with the ground pound after. Jones has improved every time out there. And the power keeps showing in these fights. He's able to finish. He's coming in good shape as well. And I just don't know enough about his opponent to pull the full trigger here on the minus 150. But Jones has to be the favorite. Even if the Kakoramanov can get this fight to the ground, Jones is a BJJ black belt. So if he does get to the ground, he can always force and threat with that submission. This fight won't be making my card, guys. I do lean Jones just because of the short notice. It's a tough debut to come in with a hard-hitting Jones who's confident coming off a big win. I lean Jones here, the minus 150. Will it make my betting card? Most likely not, just because I haven't seen enough from Kakoramanov, and he is training out here in the States with a fairly good team. He is winning in these smaller promotions, but is a step up too much too early? I do think so. Next fight here, guys. Pichel minus 115 versus Hubbard minus 105. It's a pick'em fight for a good reason, guys. Tough fight to call. I understand the line here. I mentioned earlier with Hubbard, he's always a tough out. But the one thing is you can take down this guy. You can out-wrestle him and take him down, and Pichel can do that. I love Pichel. I was on his last 2 fights. Big win over Yvet and Miller. Ugly, yes. He wins ugly, guys. He's not going to come out and do a spinning kick or, have a nice flush KO knockout. He's going to grind wins. He's going to use his power. He's going to use his cardio. He's going to grapple and out-wrestle you. He doesn't win pretty, but he does enough. And it's going to be the path here against Hubbard, right? Hubbard gets taken down in his fights. He doesn't have great takedown defense. Did he improve on it? I'm sure he did. But I think Pichel just going to be too strong for him, right? He's just going to be too strong. A good chance this fight goes the distance. Could go over the 2.5 rounds as well. Obviously, it's juiced, the over 2.5 rounds. So I wouldn't suggest that. But if you do like a fighter here, you're getting a good number already. But if you can get plus money with decision, I would lean that way. I think Pichel finds a way just with his toughness. Hubbard probably the better striker, but Pichel should just keep this ugly, get it down to the ground, use his strength, his body, and grapple and win this fight. I feel like Hubbard always getting bad matchups for himself. He's never getting a good matchup, and that's what I think it's here. I don't love it. If I do bet Pichel, probably be a smaller unit play, but I do think he finds a path to victory. Last fight here, guys. Good one. Good one to open the main card. It's Pantoja. He's back -170 versus Royval, plus 145. I expect this is going to be a good fight. Grinded out, close style fight that should go fairly far in the fight, over 2.5 rounds, and possibly the distance. You know, Royval is impressed in his first 2 fights. We all know that, right? Came out of nowhere. Big win over always a tough Tim Elliott, and then he followed up with a big win over Kai France. Yes, he's been underachieving Kai France, but he came off a nice win last time out, and it's a good win. It's a good win for Royval, and it's sneaky with those submissions, right? Moreno, when he got that call up to Moreno is just too much. He's finishing everyone though, right? First round finish from Moreno, and he's shown to be the best in his division. So let's not look at that one too much. I love Factory X, one of the best teams out there. You know, Royval will come into this fight ready, improved, and in good shape. But Pantoja, very experienced in there. Very experienced guy. When he loses against the best guys, Figueiredo, Askarov, and doesn't have that... He does have that early winner over Moreno. Not same Moreno in 2018, but still impressive win. Has a nice win over Matt Schnell. And a win over Cap the last time out, where he was shy to pull the trigger, and it was a close fight, but he did win that fight. That was a weird one. Royval, how he wins, he looks for submissions and very crafty in that department. However, Pantoja, I don't see him pulling it off on him. He's a BJJ black belt, one of the better guys in the division on the ground. So for me to say Royval is going to submit him, it's hard to see that. It's very hard to see that. Royval would have to somehow win crafty striking on the feet. I just don't see it. I think Pantoja is just a little bit better everywhere, in my opinion. And using that experience will find a win for him. Dog money is tempting on Royval. I get it. I just don't see the submission, and I do think that's Royval's path to victory is by submission. So not the line I love on a -170 on Pantoja, because Royval has shown the upset capability, but you know, I lean a decision for Pantoja, so you can get the plus money, but the -170 is going to buy me out from the straight bet market. But I'm going to look at possibly maybe in a 2-fight parlay. It could make my card. It hasn't as of yet, but yeah, I do think that Pantoja finds a way. I do think he finds a way. Close fight though, guys. This should be a close fight. I'm not in love with it. Not in love with this fight from a betting standpoint, but Pantoja should find a way. That will do it, guys. Like I always say, please subscribe to the channel. Please like, please comment. It helps me out. Check out my website, sistersportscapping.com, if you want to get on board. You want to get on board before the NFL season. That'd probably be the smartest bet. All right, guys. Like I always say, bet smart and know your limits. Enjoy the card this weekend. Take care.